Good morning, guys. Welcome to Tyler's Talking Sports. So it's either Monday morning or it's Thursday morning because we drop 2 episodes weekly at 6 a.m. Monday morning and Thursday morning. Monday morning's episode will be called Off the Record, where we talk about a little bit of everything. We just sit back, two guys talking about sports. My name is Tyler Hess. On the other side of the mic, you're going to hear from my brother from another mother, Tyler Castle. We talk sports. We're going to become your favorite sports podcast. You're going to want to listen to us. But Mondays, we have Off the Record. Thursday morning is where you find out what's getting ready to happen this upcoming Saturday in college football. We go over the biggest matchups, who's going to win the Heisman, who we think is going to win. We also talk about the local games here in Southwest Virginia and East Tennessee. So we're so glad to have you guys, but do us one favor. It's one itty-bitty favor. If you don't care, whatever it is you're listening on, because, guys, we on everything. We on all major podcasting platforms, and we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. So be sure you hit that follow button. Be sure you follow us, subscribe to us, do whatever you can. Every little bit helps, guys, and we appreciate everything. We're doing this for you guys, and we hope you fall in love with us. Love us or hate us, we feel like you're going to come back. Thank you, guys. Enjoy this episode.
This episode is brought to you by Next Level Fitness Club in Lebanon, Virginia. 1806 East Main Street, Lebanon, Virginia, 24266. They are a 24/7 gym facility, 24/7 tanning. They also offer certified personal training and certified functional fitness classes to fit all needs. If you're in the market for a gym membership, this is a great place to hit up. Hit up Ethan, Tyler, or Jordan at any of their numbers, and check out the website at www.nextlevelfitnessclub276.com.
This episode is brought to you by Little's Lawn Care. Little's Lawn Care is the all-you-need lawn care people. You need your yard mowed. You need your leaves blowed out of your yard. You need your gutters cleaned out. Contact Little's Lawn Care at 276-698-5104. Again, that number is 276-698-5104. You can text them and you can call him. His name is Brandon Little. He's an incredible person, and be sure you let him know that Tyler sent you.
And we're live! Season 2, Episode 27, College Football Championship Recap and Playoffs Ahead. This is Tyler's Talking Sports. If it's your first time tuning in, happy Monday morning to you beautiful people. On the other side of the mic, my brother from another mother, Tyler Hess, and myself, Tyler Castle, bringing you Tyler's Talking Sports.
Morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good this Monday morning. A little warmer out there than we've had last week here in Southwest Virginia. Hope everybody that is listening had a great weekend. I hope your team made the playoff. If they didn't, I hope you've got a bowl game to look forward to. We're going to dive into that. But first off, buddy, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was great. We'll get into the live here in just a second, so I don't want to go straight to that. But I was going to tell our listeners, if you're, listening this morning, make sure you have that umbrella with you.
Especially here in Southwest Virginia.
It's supposed to be raining all day.
Yep, going to rain.
It's going to rain for the next couple days. So
may transition to some snow and ice on Wednesday.
We don't need that, man. I'm not about that life anymore. I'm ready for spring myself. Not trying to rush my life, but I do like spring and summer. Don't rush the seasons. Past weekend was great. Had a blast, man. We did a 5-hour live. That's our longest live to date. It took a lot of energy out of us, but we had a blast. I think we're right near 2,000 views.
I think we're
right at it. 30-some likes, 300 and some comments. 23 shares, something like that. It was way up there. Guys, can't thank y'all enough. If you stopped by, if you said hi, if you just stopped in and liked the video, gave us a view, anything like that helps more than you realize to the channel. Also, too, guys, we're trying to hit that 1.2K goal on Facebook. We are so close. We're 19 away now.
We're at 2K views and 32 likes and 15 shares and 316 comments.
Shoo-wee! Look at them numbers. That's our best live to date.
Yep.
Hands down. So we really, again, appreciate everyone stopping by. It was an electric game.
It was.
Do you want to talk about the game a little bit since it was your team?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it was first quarter was pretty boring, to be honest. But it was fun. I mean, you expect that. You expect boring in the beginning. You got two elite programs, one really trying to send a message, another one trying to remain dominant in the SEC. And first quarter was kind of, I'm going to throw out a word that I haven't used much, but I used a lot last year. It's kind of lackluster.
Lackluster, bringing it back.
But jumping into that second quarter, things started coming alive. I thought Georgia played very well on defense. There was some miscues in the secondary. Quinn Ewers made some plays. Isaiah Bond made some pretty big catches for them. He was doing really well reading safety, reading Malachi Starks. He was reading him very well and was able to find that single coverage. Front four struggled a little bit for Georgia in that second quarter, first half, but they started getting a little pass rush on him. And when they did, that's when you kind of seen Ewers struggle. His interceptions overall really, I think, hurt them. That missed field goal, I don't know if that was in the first or second quarter. I can't remember for Texas. Looking back, that was a huge miss. Yeah, that was a huge miss for them. But I really want to start probably the game, talking about this game with the end of the half right there, the Carson Beck injury. Honestly, there's been a lot of people. I mean, I've said it a couple times this year. Carson Beck's looked garbage. And then you had a lot of people.
Wasn't expecting that.
And people that didn't watch the game or don't know or haven't been awake to pay attention. Carson Beck went back to throw, pass right there at the end of half. He caught the defensive tackle's helmet, and based off the what they're saying and based off the throwing motion, the way he caught it, it's just like a pitcher when they throw that elbow. And most people are saying it's a UCL tear, which is what Brock Purdy had last year. So he'll have to have Tommy John more than likely if that is the case after the MRI results come in. If it is a complete tear, that's a 6 to 8 month heal, and then rehabilitation after that.
Sure.
So Beck's out more than likely for this playoff run for Georgia. But
and just to clarify too, guys, if you had to watch that, it was 3 seconds left on the clock. I mean, he was getting ready to sling the ball for Hail Mary.
And that's the thing too. It was a physical therapist that was talking about it. If he hadn't have been probably trying to throw that deep ball and really just throw one deep with everything he's got, it may not have been as bad, but probably the force and the way the elbow was when it hit, he said it looks like a UCL tear, and based off him carrying it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it couldn't have been the shoulder.
Yeah, no feeling in that. So, I mean, when you tear that UCL, that disconnects everything here. No nerve feeling, no feeling in your fingers. It's kind of like the doctor represents that, like when you lay on your arm wrong, it falls asleep.
Yeah.
It's that constant. It's constant. Just nonstop.
But
big props to second half came in. We're all sitting there. Who's coming out? We're looking at Beck. You will see him coming out because the way TV was. Like, oh, Beck's coming out. And then they panned to the sideline and Gunnar Stockton. I was nervous. Stockton hadn't played any big games. I mean, he came in as a 4-star, but hadn't played any big games. He had kind of been that Stetson Bennett type player for us. But he came in that first drive, looked electric, but it was like I looked at you during that live and was like, you're going to expect that on that first drive. I was shocked after the game to find out Kirby didn't say nothing to him at half, but Mike Bobo and the rest of the coaches did. So probably those first 10, 15 plays, he knew exactly what they were going to do, what they were going to. So I think that's what helped him in that first drive, which is great. That's great coaching because that gets him confidence. It was a great-looking
first drive, honestly.
Yeah, gets him confidence coming in, boosted the momentum. But Texas, I mean, that front four was getting a pass rush. They were hitting the quarterback. They were keeping us from catching the football. We had a couple drops, but not as many as normal. But the big thing in the second half was NTN. He did what he did.
Frazier had a good second half, too.
Frazier had a good second half. He almost had that fumble there at the end, which would have just ended everything. But ETN had, 2 touchdowns in that game? Two touchdowns? No.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns in that game.
He scored the winning touchdown and then the touchdown, I think, before maybe.
No, he had all three. He had all three.
All 3 touchdowns?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
Really?
And him and Woodbridge, our kicker, is the only people to score against Texas this year. Nobody else on Georgia's team has scored against them. Go
ahead.
The other thing that kind of worried me that I guess a non-Georgia fan probably wouldn't care about, but as a football person, the punter going out, they haven't said what that is. If that's an ACL or something like that where it's non-contact with that knee, that hurts because now we got to find a punter, and he's one of the top punters in the country. So that's going to hurt field position-wise. But the end of that game, that hit on Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, that was bad.
I thought the refs did great there. Because
he leaned with his shoulder.
But it wasn't even just that. If he leaned with his shoulder any other place, that is targeting because he hit above the shoulder and neck area. But because Gunnar Stockton was deemed a runner, he was not a defenseless player, so there is no now, if he would have led with the crown of the helmet, that would have been targeting. But because he led with his shoulder and Stockton was ruled a runner, not a defenseless player, that is not targeting. So the refs did great there. At that point, I'm like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? And then you see Beck come out there, and nobody on the line knew that Beck was in the huddle. Tate Ratledge, he said they were waiting to play. He was looking over to kind of see what Texas was lining up in. Then he heard Beck's voice and was like, oh, crap, what are you doing here? But Beck
I saw
told him,
that.
he told the center, he said, I have no feeling in my hand or anything, so be sure you get this snap perfect. If it's not, I can't feel the ball. I can't get the ball, so it's got to be a perfect snap. Stockton was ready to come back in after that play if needed, but as we've seen, they handed the ball off, NTN scores. Georgia advances or wins the SEC title, third conference championship victory for Kirby Smart, 2017, 2021, and now 2024. So
Every
hats
3
off,
years.
hats off to Kirby and that coaching staff. Mike Bobo finally started coaching better, but I also want to say, or calling better plays. But the thing that got me so much, what I liked the most out of Stockton was not so much the throwing ability, but how he extended the play with his legs. I look back at the Tennessee game, the Texas game, when Georgia extended the play from the quarterback position with the
That's what
legs,
opened it up.
they looked a lot better. And I think Stockton gives you that. And the kid's got nothing to lose. He's going out there to prove something. And
Had
apparently
one bad pass. I mean, he's trying to get the ball out of bounds.
he was.
Pick.
Didn't have the arm strength. Didn't have
Yep.
the arm strength to get there.
He had the right idea.
He did. But honestly, to me, that's your two most physical teams and most aggressive teams in the country. I don't think those are your two best teams.
I think Tennessee's right there with them on defense.
I think your best team in the country is Oregon. I think a 2A, 2B is Georgia, Texas, and then the rest can just fall into place just based off that. But I don't think Georgia, Texas are either one of them are the best team in the country. I think Oregon's got the up on them with the offense, and I think their defense is pretty sound too. But incredible.
I'll say this. I mean, with Georgia losing, their guy, their man, Carson Beck, I do think that is going to play a role in these playoffs.
Well, that's what I was going to elaborate on.
That could be a struggle. I mean, you're asking a guy to just pick up the reins in playoff football.
Well, that's what I was going to elaborate too. I mean, like I said, I was one of the people that said, at times Beck was garbage this year. A lot of Georgia fans get Beck out. He's garbage. We don't need him. And then as soon as he gets hurt, if you look on social media, Georgia's done. Beck's out. If he's so bad and such garbage, then why are we done? If he was that bad. So, and all the Florida State fans, if there's any that do listen, it was a completely different scenario with Jordan Travis versus what Georgia did because Beck was garbage for most of the year. He was not the quarterback that we thought. He finished I think he did finish third or fourth in passing yards in the SEC, but his interceptions were high. His passing completions.
He had a bad stretch there.
He did.
Had a big senior slump, which is weird. I think that's what threw everybody off. Everybody's expecting him to keep progressing, and you got to
look at it this way.
Yeah.
Last year was his first year starting, and nobody had film. This year we have film. We know what his weaknesses were. But the thing I look at to compare, because I know a lot of people were saying, I mean, Georgia won, so that argument went away. But Florida State fans and people were like, well, Georgia loses, they're out.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point.
I don't think it was.
I do.
Because Jordan Travis was a Heisman candidate. He was leading the country in every statistical category as a quarterback, and he was the reason Florida State was going undefeated. Carson Beck was not the reason that Georgia was playing the football they were playing. Without Carson Beck, Georgia, in a sense, without that leadership, is the same football team. And they showed that by putting Stockton in.
I knew that. Great take by Hess. Great take.
But, I mean, that's my point of view from a Georgia fan. But hats off to Texas. Hats off to Steve Sarkisian. I am wondering if Sarkisian is going to become the –
Are you still mad at Sarkisian for saying what he did at half?
I mean, I get it, dude.
About the holding calls?
I mean, 100% I get it.
I thought that was hilarious.
I thought it was great. I liked it because that's something to get you fired up about. That's something to go in that locker room and be like, hey, we're in this game and they're not giving us anything. They're not calling nothing on us right now. Let's go out there and send a message. I loved it. But as far as a Georgia fan, looking at it like, dude, stop. The stuff they were calling on you guys was
it's valid.
Legit. And they may have been, I think, in that first half, I think there was one flag that Ming seen that Ming both were like, oh, that should have been a flag, and they didn't call it on Georgia. But for the most part, I didn't see anything egregious or crazy out there that was like, oh, man, they missed that, plain as day, But hats off to them.
Did you say egregious?
Egregious, sorry.
Okay.
I mean egregious, not egregious. Egregious.
Regis from
Regis
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
But, I mean, again, hats off to Texas and that program and what they've done this year in the SEC. I think they're going to be a force in these playoffs.
Absolutely.
The only big thing with Texas is they played one ranked team all year, and that's Georgia, and they didn't beat them.
What was you got the strength of schedules real quick for Texas?
Absolutely.
I know you got that
Give
handy.
me 1 second here, and I'll pull it up for you.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Strength of schedule for Texas, they were ranked 21st. Strength of schedule.
21st in strength of schedule. Let's keep that pulled up here whenever we get ready to get into the 12-team playoff. That way we can kind of dive a little bit more into that. My biggest takeaway on the Georgia-Texas, nobody's talking about this, but Texas is kind of like Tennessee. They like to run those little swing passes, spread out the offense, spread out the defense, make the field wide. And Georgia does a very good job with their cornerbacks and their safeties of covering that. Every time that Texas was making momentum on the short swing passes, Texas's either DB or safety was making the play, covering the ground very fast, and is only getting like 2-3 yards on those plays. So that's the key, in my opinion, as to why Georgia does so well against Tennessee, why they do so well against Texas. It's because they know how to cover that swing pass or the wide pass. Because if you notice that, that's all Texas really runs. They had a couple, actually, I don't even think they took any deep shots, to be honest with you. I don't think Ewers ever aired it out.
Yeah, he did.
Had some curl routes, and Isaiah Bond had
that one big one down.
Might have been a couple post routes.
He had that one big one down the sideline to Isaiah Bond.
But that was like
Mingo, the freshman. He hit him in the fourth quarter, real deep. That got him into field goal range.
Okay.
I'm
just saying it wasn't a lot. There's a lot of swing passes, a lot of curl routes, 5-yard outs, 5-yard ins, stuff like that. But what I'm getting at is right here is Georgia's defense is so sound, and the secondary actually stepped up, in my opinion. I think that was huge key to this win, honestly. And granted, the offense had to open up in the second half with the rushing. I think they went into the half with 12 rushing yards. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, I know. I think it was Georgia had nine rushing yards. Ewers balled out. He had over 300 yards.
And 57 yards passing, something like that.
Whatever. Yeah, it was terrible.
Finished with 8 for 13.
Texas dominated the first half on yards. They just couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't punch it.
That was probably the best defensive. I'd say probably since the Alabama Georgia games. Honestly, that's probably the best defensive games I've seen.
Kind of glad you said Alabama because that leads into this. What I was going to say. Nick Saban is famous for this one quote that I think he used a lot. That if you go back and watch some of his interviews at halftime when they come up to him, they'd be like, Nick, your defense, they're out there, they're giving up a bunch of yards, not many points scored. He's famously for saying they're bending, but they're not breaking. And I think that's what Georgia was doing. They were bending a lot, but they were not allowing any red zone touchdowns, and that was huge. And that was a huge, huge thing for that defense. Honestly, I would say that personally, that was probably their best defensive performance of the year for Georgia. I know the yards and stuff are up there, but as far as them keeping them out of the end zone and what they did in that moment, that was probably their best defensive performance of the year.
I give them that. I'd say so too. They looked best all the way around. But here's the thing. We don't know how good Texas is, honestly. So that could play a role here. When playoffs happen. But we did have some other games this past weekend. I want to touch on those real quick. So we had Oregon and Penn State.
Big Ten
championship. Watch that one. That ended up being a very good game.
Yep. Till the fourth quarter.
Penn State looks legit. I'll give them that. They hung around. I think the final was 38-45? Something. It's 8 point.
Was it that? I thought it was a little bit more.
Was it a little bit more?
Thought it was.
Look up that final. I think it was 8 point spread. Oregon's tough. That offense can score fast. I'll give them that. They had 21 points, in the first quarter?
45-37.
45-37. Missed by a point. Okay. 45-30. That's 8. Yeah. 45-37. Penn State was down pretty big at one point, too, and they rallied all the way back. I think when I was leaving your house, actually, you texted me and said it was 24-28, I think. Or 24-21, and then Oregon just scored. So it's 28-24, Oregon. But when I was on my way out of your house, it was 21-7.
Yeah.
Oregon. So Penn State must have got going there.
Turnovers helped them a little bit.
Turnover helped them. Okay. But yeah, I watched that game. Dillon Gabriel is insane. For a left-handed quarterback, he looks really good. After watching that game, I do think Oregon is the best team. I think they're seated perfectly at number 1. They're 13-0 for a reason, and they've proven they can win these big games. So I do think Oregon right now is the best team in the country.
Yeah, I give it to them there. They've done everything they had to this year. They've played their schedule. They've beat everybody they played. They're undefeated. They need to be number 1 in the country. The other thing, which we will find out, this is what's going to be great about these playoffs that we're going to find out is the Big Ten that good, or was it not? So, I mean, when you play these teams outside of your conference, that's really going to be a telltale. If you look at their non-conference schedule, they struggle with Idaho, Idaho at the beginning of the year. They almost lost to them, and that's a FCS school. They almost lost to Boise State. They were going to beat Boise by a last-second field goal. So, I mean, if you look at it, really, Oregon's played a lot of close games, which is going to be great. That's great because they know how to win a close game. Great teams find a way to win. But if you take away the Big Ten part of it, they didn't dominate nobody outside of their conference. So makes me, if I'm an Oregon fan, I'm happy. I'm content. I do think they're the best team in the country based off what we're seeing.
Whoa, don't get emotional.
But I don't know. Are they for real? Because they really didn't play anybody outside of their conference to sit here and say they're the best.
They are. I think they are for real.
If you sit here and say they are for real, then Boise State's your number 2 team.
I mean, we were all bragging on Penn State's defense before that game.
Yeah.
We've all bragged on Penn State's defense the entire season, which rightfully so. They're a good defense.
Right.
They put up 45 on them.
But that's my argument, though. If Oregon is the best team in the country, then Boise State's only loss was a last-second field goal. 3 seconds left, Oregon beats them on a field goal at Oregon. Then you could sit here and say that Boise State's number 2 in the country.
Well, I think Boise State is good.
I looked at it. I know everybody talks Genty. Look at their quarterback. He's in the top 10 in the nation in all statistical categories.
Or Mason, however you say his last name. Madsen. Their defense is ranked in the top 15 in the country. Their offensive line is full of All-Americans. I mean, they're going to be a tough squad.
And they got a great coach. You got great coach, leadership. I'm kind of disappointed. Well, we'll announce it. We'll talk about that in just a second. I'm disappointed about one thing with the playoff bracket. But on to another game. ACC Championship, Clemson, SMU. Hats off to SMU for grit and not giving up.
Man,
playing all the way to the end. They proved to me.
Dominated that fourth quarter to last little 30 seconds.
And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, an early Heisman candidate for next year is Jennings, that quarterback for SMU. He has to be up there. But hats off to Clemson and Dabo. I mean, that's 10 SEC titles in the last 13 years. I think ACC titles. Sorry about that. But they did what they had to do. Clemson played the game. They won. And we can't sit here and argue about it, whether they need to be there or not. I know they were ranked 16th, but you can't sit here and argue. They did what they had to do based off the rules that are at hand for them to make the playoff, and good for them. Good for them. It's good for football to see Clemson up there anyway playing. Sure. And if I'm a Clemson fan, I'm happy to be there. And it's a new season. All these teams are in the playoff when we announce it here in just a second. You're 0-0 right now. Your record means nothing. So
yeah, I mean, after Clemson just beat SMU, I do think they deserve it. They put together a heck of a first quarter. First half looked incredible. Everybody thought it was a blowout. I still had faith in SMU. I told you, even after the live, I said I'm not counting out SMU yet. I'm glad I didn't because they did score 17 in the fourth quarter. Of course, the field goal there to seal the deal as time expired for Clemson. I think it was a 52 or 53-yard field goal, and right down the middle. Yeah. Couldn't kick the better kick. So, yeah, they ended up getting that. But SMU did put up a fight, like you said. I thought it was going to go to overtime. I got really excited. Thought we was going to have another OT game. I think that would have been the first probably two in the ACC championship, I'm sure. So we could have had 2 record days or two records, same day, different conference. So that would have been cool to see. But, 31-34. After watching that game, I do think both those teams deserve to be in. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't have any clarity as to why they shouldn't be in or why, SMU deserves to be out after that loss. I thought if they ended up not scoring 17 and let's say Clemson beat them 45-10, okay, maybe. I think that puts up a better argument. But they did make the championship game.
Absolutely, but with the criteria at place, there's no way you could take them out.
Right, they're in the championship game.
It was like it's been said. They were ranked 8th before they went in. If SMU had the option, this is what a lot of people don't even know about college football. You can deny playing in that conference championship. You can say, nope, I'm not playing it. Give it to Texas. Give it to Clemson. So if SMU sits there and says, we're staying in Texas, we're not going, we're not playing, then they're the same as Tennessee, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Indiana. They're the same as all those schools that didn't play in a conference championship this weekend. So you don't move them. You didn't move Ohio. You don't move Ohio State. You don't move Tennessee or any of them. So you won't be able to move SMU either. So they was in no matter what. It was just, does the committee hold
Man,
true to the
hang on,
rules that
Hess.
they put in place?
Man, he's on a roll. Wow, call this guy Butters because he's on a roll. Sheesh, ridiculous up in here, spitting facts, spitting fire. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, that was a great game.
But we had another game, early game, noon kick.
Noon kick.
Big 12 championship game, Arizona State versus Iowa State. First time these two had ever played each other. Iowa State was the former Big 12 team. This was their conference, and Arizona State, who was projected to finish last, destroyed them.
Wasn't even a game, man.
It was not a game. The final score was 45-19, and 9 of those points were scored in garbage time. So, hats off to Arizona State. Scatterbo.
They look like they belong. I'm not gonna lie.
Scatterbo probably he's not going to win the Heisman personally.
He should be in the Heisman talks definitely.
He's
Sam
there.
Levitt's not playing bad either.
That's true, freshman. So a redshirt freshman. So that's crazy too. But to Scatterbo, he's third right now in the Heisman, and he's inched a lot closer to those top two than Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty.
Rightfully so. I mean, I think you take him off that team, I think it's a different story.
Oh, there was one play there while I was watching it. There's just a simple handoff. He broke 8 tackles. He broke 8 tackles and then stiff armed another dude to a 55-yard gain. I mean, the dude runs with authority.
I'll try to pull up his stats here, see if I can find it. I know he had
I got him right here. If you need me, go ahead and say it.
Go ahead and say what Scatterbo. I know it's crazy.
Scatterbo had 16 carries for 170 yards, 10.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 53 yards with his longest one. He also had 97 yards after contact.
That's insane.
As far as he went 0 for 1 passing. They did have a pass play there drawn up for him. And as far as Levitt, he went 12 for 17 for 219 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also, Arizona State did not have their top wide receiver, who is a potential first-round draft pick. So they were hurting too on the offensive side, and they just had people step up, and they dominated, and here they are in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve it.
Yeah.
They looked really good. Nobody's talking about them either. Nobody's talking about them in the playoff.
Nobody is.
Speaking of playoffs, you ready to run through these 12 teams here? Let our viewers know who's in, who's out?
Absolutely, man. Go ahead. Kick us off.
All right. In 12 seed, we got a lot of orange here. I'm just going to go the game, and then I'll just go through each one here in the first bracket. So, first game up here.
Hold on. Before you go, I'll do this. I'll give you the playoff rankings, and then you can give the bracket.
Man, on a roll. I'm telling you. 3-3, guys.
Number 1 in your CFB playoff rankings is the Oregon Ducks. Number 2, moving up, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Penn State. Number 5, Notre Dame, which by rule, they were not allowed to be ranked higher than 5th, so because they were not in a conference. Ohio State, 6, Tennessee, 7, Indiana, 8, Boise State, 9, SMU makes it in at 10, Arizona State as being the de facto Big 12 champion, 11, but they're the 12th ranked team in the playoff rankings. And Clemson, this kind of shocked me. This was when they showed this, I knew SMU was in for sure. Clemson didn't move. They stayed at 16, so they didn't move, but they are the final team in based off winning the ACC. And due to the fact that they are the lowest ranked of the 12 teams in the playoff, they have the 12th seed based off being a conference champion.
Yep.
Now, you can go over the bracket.
All right, so the bracket is 12 seed in the playoff, Clemson versus 5 seed Texas. Talk about an Orange Bowl.
Yes, and these games start on December 20th. 20th and 21st.
20th and 21st. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That was another thing I was going to get you to do, to pull up the times on these. So what is the time of the Clemson, Texas? Let's just go ahead and get these times and dates. That way everyone knows. Actually, I can tell you right here. Sorry. I got pulled up. So December 21st is this game. Is Clemson and Texas, 4 p.m. on TNT.
Yep.
4 p.m. in Austin, Texas, because Texas is the home team.
DKR.
Whew, best of luck, Clemson. Do you want to go ahead and give a prediction or give a team, or do you want to wait?
We'll wait. Okay. I want to say this is a really cool matchup. I love this. I did some research on some of these games to get a little backstory. Clay Kubnik is from Austin, Texas.
Really?
He played Quinn Ewers in the state championship game and beat him in high school. They played head-to-head in a state title game. There's another player, a safety for Clemson, that played with Quinn Ewers on the high school team. So you're going to have a lot of former teammates played against each other in high school and on the same high school teams in this game. They showed Klubnik when they announced Texas, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm going back home." He's excited about it. Dabo, he dabbed him up. And was like, "Hey, you're going back home. You get
Dabo dabbed him up.
Yep, you get to face your former high school rival in Quinn Ewers. So that's going to be a heck of a matchup. I know a lot of people are kind of probably sleeping on Clemson, but you're giving them 2 weeks to prepare. And again,
it's gonna be a game.
You're 0-0 right now. It doesn't matter what you did the rest of this season. You're 0-0.
We're going to be putting some parlays down on these, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we can lose money again like we did on the live. Okay, awesome. Just making sure, because I love losing money to bets
me
that
too.
we think could actually hit.
Me too. Yep.
Oh, man, that's funny. Quiet down.
God almighty. Laughing on it. That is pretty hard there.
I know. They wouldn't shut up. All right, next up here we got number 9 seed, the Tennessee Volunteers versus number 8 seed, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
8 o'clock game in Columbus.
8 o'clock game. This game is also on Saturday, December 21st. This is on ABC and ESPN. I'm going to throw this out there. This is super early, but you want to go live for that one? Be a late one.
Absolutely. Why not?
Okay. All right. Going live for Tennessee and Ohio State. Hopefully I can keep my emotions.
I'm going to have to get a better table.
Yeah, I might break that table. That's a very good possibility.
Yeah.
One key thing about that is their wide receiver, I think last name Smith, right?
Yes. Jeremiah Smith.
The 17-year-old. Yeah, he probably will be healthy for that game. The past 2 weeks that they've played, he hasn't been that active. I think he had 34 yards and 35 yards past 2 weeks. So that's one key thing to keep in mind. He hasn't been healthy. So I think he will play a huge role in that game looking forward. Not going to give any updates or my predictions or anything. And definitely if we're going live, I'll do that before the live and during the game. You all can see my emotion. It'll be a lot more than Hess, I'll tell you that. All right. Just being honest with them, man. I'm prepared them. Yeah,
Can't wait.
Prepared them. My balls are in the playoff.
I'll put you beside the camera this go round.
Probably don't need to. I probably don't need to be in front of a camera.
Yep, you're going to be.
I know. It'll be all right. It'll be good. I'll keep it good for the pod.
Can't wait to see Brian Long jabbing at you.
It'd be great. I might have to leave. I might have to go find Brian. I know where he lives.
Yeah,
Brian, if you listen, I know where you live. You better watch it. Just kidding, guys. Number 11, SMU versus number 6.
I'm curious about what time this game is.
Penn State. This one I do not have. Oh, actually I do. Sorry. It's at noon. It's a noon kick on TNT.
What date?
Also Saturday, December 21st.
Okay. Ooh.
Yep.
Why did Penn State not draw a whiteout playoff game at night?
I can't get it, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah. How you feel about that one? SMU traveling to Penn State.
Hey.
I had a fun fact on this one. I know you've been on it today, so let me give you one. Let me get my turn.
Your turn.
All right, so SMU, again, this game's December 21st at noon. SMU, this is the 4th visit to a Big Ten school in the last 30 years. First since 2022. They played Maryland. They lost that game 34-27. SMU's offense averages 38.5 points per game. That's 6th most in FBS. Penn State defense only allows 16.4 points per game. That's 8th fewest in FBS.
Yeah.
So that's a matchup predictor on that one. I would circle that game. I think that game's going to be a good one.
That'll be a very good game. I think you're going to have a SMU team coming in with a lot of people doubting them even being here. You already have people saying, they're going to get blew out in the first round. I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm pulling for SMU because I love the hate they're getting, and I think all you're doing right now is giving them locker room wall material. And I think this will be one of the best first-round matchups we have.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game. I say Penn State will be favored heavy. But yeah, I do think it'll be a lot closer than people project.
I will say this: I only know one right now. Tennessee is a 7-point underdog going into Ohio State.
Absolutely,
it's the only one I've seen. So
I understand that road game.
Yeah,
and Ohio State seeded higher, so understand. Indiana, 10 seed, facing number 7 seed Notre Dame. I like what Penn State head coach said about the playoff committee and everything. He said if you're going to do this, you need to do it right. So every team needs to be in a conference. They need to play similar strength of schedule as far as conference opponents and everything like that. That way you can really have a breakdown at the end of the season. So in other words, he was throwing a lot of shade at Notre Dame, and I absolutely love that take.
I agree 100%.
If you're going to make it into the college football playoff, you have to join a conference.
Yep.
So give me the Hoosiers. I'm calling it right now. I don't care if it's 2 weeks out. Give me Indiana over Notre Dame because I'll never pick Notre Dame.
Well, if you are a Notre Dame fan and you want to go here for the first ever playoff game in Notre Dame, this is the highest ticket price for any playoff game. It's $1,147 to get you in.
Wow.
That is top row, and Notre Dame is an 8-point favorite in this game.
God, come on, Indiana. I like Riley Leonard. I do like Riley.
And this game is Friday night at 8 p.m. I don't know if you said that or not.
I did not because I didn't have that one. That was the only one I didn't have on the first round.
Before you go on, I do have the betting odds right now. It has changed. Tennessee is now a 7.5-point underdog. Texas is a 11-point favorite. Penn State is an 8.5-point favorite.
8.5. So Texas with the biggest. Wow.
Yep.
That's surprising.
Texas is the biggest.
Clemson looked good.
All right. Now, to expand on the rest of the bracket, the 4th seed, your Big 12 champion, Arizona State, will play the winner of the Clemson-Texas game. These games will be played on December 31st and December 1st. Tennessee, December 31st and January 1st. Tennessee, Ohio State, that winner plays Oregon, and that game is the Rose Bowl, so that'll be played in Pasadena. The Arizona State game will be the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, so that will be played in Atlanta, Georgia. And the winner of the Indiana-Notre Dame game goes to play the Orange Bowl against Georgia in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Oh, sorry. I looked down. I went too far down. Sorry. That game will be played in the Sugar Bowl in the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's your take?
Makes me want to have a Caesar salad. Kind of hungry.
Yeah. What's your take on this playoff bracket?
I mean, I like it. I think they did the best they could first year. Again, I do think there needs to be some rule changes. I think a conference, like you have to be in a conference, I think that's a must. I don't think you just get to pick your schedule. I do think strength of schedule needs to be looked at a little bit more in depth because I think that's one thing that they're not really factoring in as much because I think Boise had an 81st strength of schedule. Is that correct? So I wanted you to keep that strength of schedule around.
They had 81st.
81st, yeah. So they were definitely the easiest strength of schedule, I'm pretty sure, out of all these teams.
If you want me to go through it real fast.
Yeah, let's give me the strength of schedule for each of these teams.
Georgia had the number 1 strength of schedule. Texas had the 21st. Ohio State had the 27th. Penn State had the 29th. Tennessee had the 30th. Oregon had the 34th strength of schedule. Clemson had the 35th. Notre Dame had the 58th. SMU had the 60th. Arizona State had the 62nd. Indiana had the 68th. And you already said Boise with the 81st strength of schedule.
Yeah, so I do think that needs to play a little bit of a role because you do look at teams sitting on the outside. I mean, Miami, I don't know where they were at in strength of schedule.
It was right around 60, 50, 60.
Okay, Alabama's definitely up there. I know they have to be.
Alabama was 16th and South Carolina was 15th.
Yeah, where's Ole Miss?
Ole Miss was 26.
Okay, so almost top 25, but that's, I mean, yeah. So I do think that needs to be looked at a little bit more in depth because a lot of people, their argument is, which I know, you don't need to lose those games in regular season if you're that good anyway. So that's where the 9-3 argument comes into play. So I understand that, but that does need to be looked into a little bit more on strength of schedule because what that's saying is a lot of people, their argument. I'm going to tell you this because I already know you know this, but a lot of people's argument right now is, well, okay, I'll just schedule a bunch of cupcakes and I'll make it in. Is the argument.
That's the thing, too, though. Okay, you got a lot of flack right now. You got a lot of Alabama fans out there talking. You played the 16th best strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You won the games you were supposed to win, or you won the big games. You beat Georgia. You beat Auburn. You beat these teams you were the big games that mattered. But then you lost to a 1-win Oklahoma team by not close. You got absolutely just destroyed in Norman.
And I get 24-3. I think they lost by 3.
Yeah. 24-3, 21 points. And then you look at, I know the Vandy game was kind of an anomaly, and Vandy was really high of them. But look where they finished. They finished 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you win, you beat Oklahoma. There's no talk here. Bama's in. They find a. Actually, I don't. No, actually not. Bama had to beat. Well, they beat Oklahoma. Then they're in the SEC championship game, and then you're talking about Georgia. Then so you got to win your conference games. I don't give a crap who you play outside, but you got to win your conference games. But my take here, you've seen it. I posted it on a comment on Facebook, and I just kind of want to read it again because I kind of feel strongly about it. And I said, I think personally right now, the committee got it right based off the rules that they had in place prior to the season. And that a big quote that I really liked was from Nick Saban. He said this after the reveal. He said, after everything came out, it's obviously strength of schedule didn't matter due to SMU being ranked 8th last week. You can't take them out for playing a conference championship game. If that would have been the case, they could have stayed home and not played. Like I said earlier, they could have stayed home and not had to worry about it. They would have been at 8. With all that being said, I think they need to take away the whole double rewarding. You need to stop saying, okay, you win a conference championship. Not only do you get a possible bye, you get an automatic bid. So what they need to do is they need to do it like basketball. You win the conference championship, you got an automatic bid. And then don't release these playoff rankings. Let's stop doing that. Let's keep the AP poll. Let's follow that all the way up until this Sunday after conference championship Saturday.
And then just release it.
This is your playoff rankings. Because what that entails is you have these arguments out here. You have SMU.
Well, Bama was in. Yeah.
You have Indiana been sitting after they lost to Ohio State. They haven't went lower than 10th. They've been sitting there. You can't take them out if they keep winning their games after they lose one and you take them into 11. And after that, I said after conference championships are played, you say that these are your 4 automatic teams that made it. And then you see them 1 through 12, 4 autos, 8 at large. That takes away this whole, well, the SEC got 5 teams or the ACC got 3 or the Big Ten got whatever. And then you say, this is your 12 best teams. These are your 4 automatics. And out of that, these are your top 4 teams. They get the bye, just like you do in the NFL.
You speak it, brother. Preach it.
And then I will say, and based off, I think it needs to be the 12 best teams based off strength of schedule, record versus top 25 opponents that finished in the top 25 in the playoff rankings. If I beat Missouri and they were ranked 25th or ranked 18th when I beat them, but at the end of the season they're ranked 24th in the playoff ranking, and then Tennessee beat Arkansas, who was not ranked, and then they were ranked in a college football. That's a better win. They had a better season. They had a better opponent. Just because they had one bad game and they weren't ranked at the time doesn't mean they weren't a good football team. So you eliminate that argument. And the other thing I said is I think you make those changes and we see the best 12 teams in college football, and it has regardless of conference record or anything, any of the other nonsense that's been floating out right now.
I like that take a lot. Listeners, let us know. Did the committee get it right? Does there need to be some more changes? Is there any other changes that we're not even considering that we just mentioned there about, you need to be in a conference? Hess just went over, how they need to break up. You don't need to be double rewarded. Let us know what you think. What's your thoughts?
I mean, do I think I don't want people to say, well, Hess is saying that it's right. This playoff ranking is exactly how. No, I do not, because I don't think you got the best 12 teams. I think you got the best 12 teams that did what they were supposed to do based off what was handed to them at week 1 when they kicked off their football season.
Yeah. I do think there needs to be some changes to the strength of schedules. I think that's going to have to play a little bit of factor in scheduling. That way you don't have these broad arguments. But honestly, I think it's going to come down it's going to probably be like that every year.
But I look at it too, I know we're kind of comparing apples to oranges here in a way, but you look at college basketball. You have a team like Wichita State a couple of years ago made the national champion, or Butler. Go back to those years.
Yeah.
Butler had I looked at it, they had the 238th strength of schedule.
And they made it to the championship game.
They lost on a last second, almost won on a buzzer beater from half court against the number 1 team in the country. Duke. So, in a sense, the strength of schedule, yes, I get it. I know in football you're getting a crap beat out of it. Just like Kirby said last night, he looked right at Greg Stanky, and I do not think Stanky was happy about what Kirby said to him. He said, because the AD or the SEC commissioner says this is how many road games you played. Yes, you scheduled these teams, but we pick where you play at.
Right.
So, other than Tennessee, Georgia played every one of their big games on the road. Ole Miss, Texas, Kentucky.
It's a tough schedule.
So, you gotta give the teams or the ADs a little bit more control over the schedule.
Here's the thing, too, that nobody's mentioning. I mean, we don't know when they make these schedules. We don't know what these teams are going to be.
Vandy.
Yeah, I mean that's a prime example right there.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, had them ranked. What I think we played them when we played them. They were 14th or something.
Yeah, they were in the top. They were ranked
NC
8th.
State.
NC State, Florida State.
And other examples. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of bogus take. I do think we'll see how good Boise is, how good Arizona State is.
I think what you need to do is you need to reevaluate how you evaluate strength of schedule, because Georgia had the number one strength of schedule coming into the season based off who they were playing. But again, I can say
we don't know who. Yeah, we
exactly.
Don't know how good
you don't know how good Texas is going to be, truthfully, till they start playing. You don't know how good Ole Miss is going to be. Just like look at the Kentucky game. Georgia escaped barely, which has been their MO all year. They've played close every game this year. Absolutely, just close in every game.
Dominate second half.
Yeah, but you can't sit there and say, well, Kentucky's was nothing, but you don't know until they play. So I think there needs to be a reevaluation. At the end of the year, they need to come up and say, all right, you played these teams. Tennessee played these 12 teams, and now 5 of them are ranked, and out of those 5 teams, they're in the top 3 in their conference. Maybe that's your number one strength of schedule. Don't sit here and give me a pre-seeded. That would be like saying, all right, here's your rankings for the college football season. Oregon's number 1. They're number 1 all year long because they're the best team, and they're number 1 based off who they're going to play and what they got on paper as far as players. So you got to reevaluate how you look at strength of schedule if you're going to put that in the criteria. If you're not going to put that in criteria, then we're fine with it. But we'll see.
Good take, man.
My biggest takeaway, though, from this bracket that I really just want to say, and I'm happy that they got where they got. I think they deserve it 100%. But Boise State, I really wanted to see a playoff game on that blue field.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been incredible to see. Cold weather. That's another thing. You're going to have teams like SMU come out of Texas going to Penn State. Who knows? They may be in a blizzard up there in Pennsylvania when this is going on. Notre Dame, Indiana. I mean, I know they're in the same state. You may be seeing a couple snow games here. So it's going to be very interesting. Just to give the viewers or the listeners and viewers a little bit of insight here. Say you want to go to one of these playoff games. Like I said, the Notre Dame game is $1,147 is the get-in price. The SMU game, if you want to go to Penn State, it's $136 to get in. To go to Texas, it's $364. And if you want to go watch Tennessee and Ohio State, that game will be $307. If you want to go to the next round of games, if you want to watch Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, that is $160. If you want to watch Arizona State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, that is $1,740 to get you in. That's the most expensive ticket as of now.
Golly!
If you want to go to the Rose Bowl to go to Pasadena, which granted you got to pay that.
Sorry about that.
You got to pay that California taxes and stuff, but that ticket price is $321. If you want to go watch Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, it's $162 to get in. If you want to go to the semifinals, you're looking at $218 to $242 to get into the semifinal. And those
for the championship?
That's not released yet. And that game
depends on the 2 teams that make it.
The national championship game is in Atlanta, Georgia.
It's in Atlanta.
Yep.
What if the old Vols and Georgia make it all the way there? We'll have to go.
That's a potential. I mean, you're looking at it right now, the way the bracket's set out. You could see Georgia, Texas in a national championship again, which I don't want to see them for the 3rd time.
I don't either.
You could see Tennessee, Georgia. You could see Tennessee, Boise. I mean, you could see. National championship's going to be interesting. I want to hats off here to the committee. I want to give them a little bit of love here. I
was worried how they was going to seed that.
I love the way they did. That they put the teams that played in conference championship games, they play each other.
Yeah. The
teams that stayed at home this weekend, they play each other. So you're giving everybody the same amount of rest, the same amount of time to prepare for the opponent they're playing. So hats off to them. That is excellent. And for the most part, I don't see any rematches until you get to the semifinals or national championship. No. There will be no rematches until you possibly get to the national championship. So they nailed it.
The only way it could be is, Texas.
Yeah.
Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia.
Clemson, Georgia.
Oregon. Nope, that won't be there. I guess, Clemson, Georgia.
You could see Penn State or Oregon in the national championship. you could see Ohio State, Oregon in the second round.
Second round, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, they nailed it as far as saying, hey, we're not going to try to get these rematches unless you make it and deserve to be in the national championship. Then if that's the case, then you have the two best teams playing all year long, so you really can't say nothing.
Yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see if strength of schedule was a big deal or not. I mean, Boise could wipe the floor with everybody. Arizona State could wipe the floor.
I think you're going to see that. I really don't think you see a blowout in any of these games.
I think they're all tightly contested. I know Cam Newton was talking the other day. No free shout out to Cam, but I know he was talking.
But if he wants to come on, he's more than welcome.
But yeah, I'll gladly take him. He was talking about, nobody wants to watch Arizona State, Boise, and I can't remember who else he was. I think SMU was another one he's naming. Obviously, because he's an SEC guy, he wants to see. He said this isn't the best 12 teams because he's going to kind of into the whole strength of schedule thing. And you don't want to see like a Georgia TCU like we saw a couple years back when Georgia absolutely just destroyed them, which I agree. Everybody wants, I think if you're a football fan, you want close, tight games. You want a good game. You don't want any blowouts unless it's your team just killing somebody else. But even then, I think you'd rather have it tight in a tightly contested game. So we'll see. I agree. I don't think there will be any blowouts in these 12 teams. I love the first round games. Clemson, Texas is going to be incredible. Tennessee, Ohio State should be awesome. SMU, Penn State, another crazy good game. And then Indiana, Notre Dame should be really tight too. So, yeah.
The only other thing I want to say here, too, Kurt Herbstreit elaborated on a little bit. He thinks it's a toxic fan base right now with Ohio State. Because Ohio State did not want a home game. They wanted to travel because the fans right now are very toxic. If you follow them on social media, they're done with Ryan Day. They're done with Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. And they're expecting to be nothing but booze. Like, there's rumors, there's stuff going on right now I've been watching on Twitter. There's
just
Ohio State
Michigan loss, golly.
There's Ohio State students selling their tickets to Tennessee fans. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see there with Ohio State. But I want to talk a little bit about the coaching just before we go on any. I think if Ohio State loses in this first round bad, Ryan Day's gone. And I think James Franklin's gone from Penn State if they lose this first round too.
James Franklin is 1 in 14 against top five. Yeah, so, and obviously he still couldn't beat Oregon, which that's a tough team to beat.
But why they didn't give him and that team a whiteout night game is beyond me.
Yeah, that would have sold out in a heartbeat, which is probably still going to sell out.
I mean, all these games are going to sell out, but I mean, that's the environment you want to watch on TV. You turn on, I don't care if Penn State says they're doing a whiteout, you turn it on for a minute. I don't care who they're playing.
I mean, I was really hoping as a Tennessee fan that they got a home game just because, like, that place be insane.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just, and I honestly, let me tell you what I wish. I know it'll never happen, but while we're talking about playoff changes, I wish they made the first and second round home games.
Yeah.
Campus games, and then take the bowls, but you can't, they got to keep that money going in with those bowl games, I guess, with the whole NIL, how you're paying all these players now. But, I mean, I think it would be awesome to see, like, Clemson or Texas travel to Arizona State, see Notre Dame or Indiana travel to Georgia, Tennessee or Ohio State go to Oregon. I mean, you're going to see that you would see fan bases see teams they never thought they'd see play on their field, and I think that would help you going into next season. Be like, hey, let's schedule Oregon. Let's bring them to Tennessee.
Tennessee's ever played for Oregon.
If they did, it was in the 90s, and I want to say around 93 or 92.
Hang on, let me top in football. Just curious. If Tennessee's fortunate enough to get past the Buckeyes. Series history.
I got it right here.
Yeah, if they've played twice.
The Ducks are 2-0 against the SEC squad. The last time they played was 2013 in Eugene.
God.
I remember that game. I do remember
14.
Yep, y'all wore white jerseys with orange pants. Before that, the Ducks went to Knoxville and beat the Vols 48-13.
So we've gotten killed by them twice. I'm going to go ahead and say it'll be a different story this year if we face them.
But here's the key there. Dan Lanning played in the SEC, or coached in the SEC. He's coached against the Vols in Knoxville when he was with Kirby and Alabama. So
that's a tough team, guys.
Got a great coach.
Yeah.
Great coach.
They got to get past Ohio State first. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Some other notable bowl games that I just put on here because I know some of our listeners. There's one really big one here that I wanted to touch on. It's Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They're playing January 3rd in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. You said that's a Tuesday? Is that correct?
It's a Tuesday, yeah.
It's a Tuesday. Minnesota. They drawed Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game. Minnesota's not the pretty tough this year. 7:30 p.m. kickoff at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte on ESPN.
I like that. Just so everybody knows, bowl season starts Saturday, December 14th, with the first game being between South Alabama and Western Michigan in the Veterans Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. Or, sorry, it's the Carrollton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama in the Veterans Bowl Stadium. Shoot, that's weird.
That is
Then
weird to say.
the next bowl game will be Tuesday, December 17th. That'll be number 25 Memphis versus West Virginia in the
like
Scooters Coffee Fiasco Bowl and Fiasco, Texas. The next game is Wednesday. You have JMU versus Western Kentucky in the Boca Raton Bowl. That is played in Boca Raton, Florida. You also have Cal versus UNLV in the Art Sport LA Bowl. Another big bowl that I kind of want to just watch just for the heck of it here, Tulane versus Florida.
Oh, yeah.
This game is played in Florida in Raymond James Stadium. This is the Union Home Mortgage Casparilla Bowl. My Lord, what a name. Then you get a playoff game that same Friday. You get the Indiana-Notre Dame game. And then Saturday, you have nothing but playoff games. So you get to sit back and watch the playoff. Then on Monday, December 23rd, right before Christmas Eve, you have the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which is Coastal Carolina, home game for them, versus UTSA. You have the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Northern Illinois versus Fresno State in Boise. That game's played on the blue field.
Look at old Northern Illinois, man.
Yep, they got that Notre Dame win, kept going. You got two teams going to Hawaii here in South Florida and San Jose State in the Hawaii Bowl. What a flight for South Florida that'll be. On Thursday, December 22nd, after Christmas, the Game Above Sports Bowl, Pittsburgh versus Toledo. You also have the Arkansas State extended their head coach, Butch Jones, 3-year deal with him. He's playing in the 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile, Alabama against Bowling Green. Navy plays Oklahoma on Friday, December 27th in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl.
Golly.
Vandy makes the Birmingham Bowl playing Georgia Tech.
It's going to be tough.
Arkansas, AutoZone Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech. Syracuse, Washington State in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl. You won't be watching that one because it's too expensive for DirecTV, and I'm sure they'll find a way to block it out. Texas A&M will play USC in the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. Another fun bowl game, a game at $33 for a ticket. This will be cool to watch. This is the Fenway Bowl in Fenway Park. North Carolina will play probably one of the teams that nobody expected to be this. 8-4 UConn. Jim Mora is the head coach there. Jim Mora is a famous NFL coach and led to UCLA a couple years ago before Chip Kelly took over. Another game in a baseball stadium, the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl in Yankee Stadium, Nebraska versus Boston College. $59 for that game.
That'd be fun.
That will be an interesting game to go to. Can't talk. NC State, 6-6 in the Go Bowling Military Bowl against East Carolina. Colorado Alamo Bowl in San Antonio against BYU. That'll be a very good game. Marshall versus Army. Hats off to Army and Bryson Daly.
Yeah.
What a season they've had. This game is the Independence Bowl, so that's pretty cool. Iowa will play Missouri in the Music City Bowl in Nashville. Then you have Alabama versus Michigan in the Reali Quest Bowl in Raymond James Stadium. So that's two bowl games in Tampa. Louisville will play the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against Washington. The
Tiger Sun Bowl.
Yep, $22 to go there. It's in El Paso. The Camping World Bowl in Orlando will be between South Carolina and Illinois. $79 for that one.
That's going to be a blowout.
Baylor plays LSU in the Kinder's Texas Bowl in NRG Stadium in Texas. $75 for a ticket there. And then Thursday, January 2nd, you have Duke versus Ole Miss.
I'm excited for that one.
Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, $37 for that one. Virginia Tech, you already announced that one. Liberty will play in the Bahamas. This is the best bowl of all. You get to go to the Bahamas. They play Buffalo at 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 4th, and there is no ticket prices because it's for the Islanders only. So that's your bowls.
Congrats to everyone.
Yeah, congratulations.
Making a bowl
Made
game.
Yeah.
Made a bowl.
And I will say this a lot. I've been friends with some guys that played at Virginia Tech that went to some bowl games. Those kids get treated like royalty. They get free TVs, lazy boys. They get cash. They get it. It's an incredible time for those guys, and it's going to be interesting. Who's Miami? Wait, why did I not mention Miami? Miami plays Iowa State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Orlando.
Pop-Tart Bowl. My gosh.
Yep.
10-2 Pop-Tart Bowl.
10-2 Pop-Tart Bowl.
Ouch.
Yep.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Poop Tart Bowl. That's what that is.
Not to make any predictions or anything, not to say who you think's going to win,
Sure.
but outside of Georgia, Tennessee, who is the one team that you think could win the national title right now?
Oregon. They look best on both sides of the ball.
I'm going to go Arizona State.
I think their defense.
I think Arizona State very well could be in the Final Four.
Oh, well, Final Four, sure, but I'm saying you asked who else I think will win.
I'm just saying I think they can make it to the Final Four, and then I think they could win the national title. They're hot.
I think any of these 12 can.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
They play the right football.
That's the thing. I wonder too. Like, you're going to look at Ohio State, Tennessee, Indiana, Notre Dame. They're going to look back. What was the last game we played? How did we do in that one? The other teams are sitting there. Hey, we played in a conference championship game.
Yeah, we're ready.
Granted, it shouldn't change anything with the way the layoff is
Still
for all
get
the
2
teams.
weeks off. Yeah,
you do. But I think in a sense,
I like that. I like that too. I like how they pan that out.
It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Arizona State, they're playing hot, and then they're going to look back at the last game we played. We dominated in a Big 12 championship. Let's keep that momentum rolling. We don't care who we play. So I like Arizona State as my underdog to make a run and shock the world here. So we'll see what happens.
See what happens. Got some great football ahead, everyone. Anything else to add to today's episode?
Tennessee Vols going to be number 1 in college basketball.
They sure are. The Lady Vols will be ranked as well.
Kansas lost again Sunday. They lost another game, so it's 2 in a row for Kansas.
Ouch.
So that hurts them. See if we got any other news I can just elaborate on real quick.
Duke beat Auburn this past week.
Appy State found their head coach, offensive coordinator from South Carolina. Missouri was the one that beat Kansas. Second straight loss for Kansas. Kurt Herbstreit's son committed to Michigan. Other than that, man, I mean, I'm excited for these playoffs. I'm excited to do some more lives. I'm curious if me and you get the itch to go to any of these. It'll be if we're able to do it, if we have the fundage, or if we feel like going. So that'll be interesting to see. Some of these games are through the week, so it's kind of hard to go to that based off work schedule and everything. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. I hope my dogs can at least make it to the Final Four. We'll see what happens. It's going to be great.
Natty or bust, in my opinion. Natty or bust.
It's a lot. You really
It is a lot. But here's my thing. You're 4 games away.
I got to ask you this.
And when you hold those 4 fingers up, that means something. Shout out to you, Brown.
Here's what I want to say. If Tennessee wins a national title, do we stop saying it feels like 98 and say it feels like 24?
Absolutely.
Or 25? Whatever it is.
Be 25, yeah. It'll be in January, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
these
playoffs go a long time, guys. They start in December.
I don't know what I'll do. I seriously don't know what I'll do if they win a natty.
I just want to say, though, these games go from December 20th, 21st, all the way to the national championship in January 20th. So you have a month before you play the national title.
You have a month of us talking about college football, guys. Y'all better enjoy it.
I will say this, guys.
Flew by.
We're going to, we'll cover a couple of these bowl games. We won't go in depth on a lot of them. So probably in our next couple of episodes, you're going to start hearing some more college basketball news, some things like that. So adjust your thing a little bit. Be ready for some college basketball stuff here from TTS. We're excited about the bowl games. I am going to set up a bowl mania that they do every year. We pick all the bowl games, figure out who wins, and
Trey Bunn's banned from that, right?
Trey Bunn's not allowed to be in that.
Yeah, we can't lose again.
I'm just kidding. Trey can get in there. Anybody I'd love to have 50 people in it.
50. That's
we get 50 people, they will be a prize at the end.
What kind of prize?
I don't know. We'll talk about it. And if there's anybody out there, if you're still listening an hour into this, if there's anybody out there that would love to join us, have a take they want to throw at us, maybe they want to get on here and argue with us and tell us that we are idiots and we have no idea what we're talking about, please let us know. Come on. We'd love to have you. Good or bad, whatever your take is. I don't care who you cheer for, what you think. Love to have you. We love our lovers and we love our haters, so y'all come on anytime.
Lovers.
Love our lovers.
I'm going to end it there. I'm going to end on that. Love my lovers.
Hey, one more thing, guys. If you're ready, You never got to be ready.
Never got to be ready, baby. I'm always ready.
That's right. Let's get
Happy
it. Y'all
Monday, guys.
Happy Monday. Y'all have a great week. We'll be back with y'all Thursday morning at 6 a.m. See y'all.
Bye.